Let's talk about For Honor. For Honor is a game that I periodically check in on because I was initially drawn to the idea of what it was trying to do. Namely, give us a medieval combat game loosely based on historical fighting styles. I'm not alone in liking that premise, as For Honor apparently sold millions. I played the game from time to time as I was checking in on it, and the footage you're watching right now is from 2019 after the release of the Sword and Shield hero. But despite the sales success, For Honor is pretty much a failure. Take a look at the Steam reviews, for instance, and you'll get the idea. The progression system sucked, the game modes kinda sucked, the plentiful bugs sucked, the microtransactions sucked, the connectivity issues sucked, and the balance, it really sucked. But these are temporary issues, right? Surely the big profile new IP from a huge publisher with millions of sales would get the patches it needed to fix the bugs and iron out everything, right? And that's why For Honor is kind of interesting to talk about, because years down the line, the answer appears to be no. I think the real reason that For Honor is a failure, and I'm gonna be a bit harsh here, is because of persistent, incompetent game design. Imagine a fighting game where the first person to attack loses. On the face of it, it doesn't sound fun, does it? In essence, this was the core problem with For Honor for the longest time. The game suffered from what was dubbed the defensive meta, where the attacker generally could always be reacted to and severely punished for daring to play the game. In game terms, getting parried would drain a ton of your stamina and guarantee a guard break, which could be followed with a heavy attack or simply being thrown off a ledge for an instant loss. If you survived and had any ideas about doing something so foolish as attacking again, the low stamina would now remind you that you probably should just do nothing instead. For Honor is what you get when someone tries to make a fighting game who has absolutely, completely no idea how to make a fighting game. The problem was plain for all to see. Defense was too strong. The solution, however, was not plain for all to see. If defense is too strong, then maybe it should be made less strong? This is where the incompetence starts to reveal itself. There's this meme in game design that nerfing something or making something weaker is actually a big no-no. Put in a simple way, everyone who likes the thing getting nerfed will generally be extremely annoyed at the game developer for nerfing said thing, and might even drop the game altogether. Meaning in this case, defensive reactive gameplay enjoyers will be annoyed if defense is nerfed. But surely this concern should not apply when this is what is actually killing your game. If you're playing a game of rock, scissors, nuclear bomb, and everyone is always going to pick nuclear bomb, and then there actually isn't any game anymore. Is it wrong to nerf nuclear bomb, even though nuclear bomb enjoyers might be upset? In For Honor, the nuclear bomb was parrying, and nerfing parrying was off the table. So what did For Honor do? Instead of nerfing the single mechanic which affected every character and made every character unfun to play against, they decided to release 2 DLC characters which experimented with offense buffed to such degrees that they could bypass the parrying. The Shinobi, which had attacks so fast you couldn't reliably react to them. The Centurion, which had combos so long you weren't actually allowed to do anything, including parrying, while the combo played. The community dubbed this being stuck in a cutscene. But of course, these 2 new heroes also had parrying in their toolkit as well. They were now just better at the defensive meta than everyone else. So by being reluctant to nerf parrying, in practice they ended up nerfing every single character in the game in relation to these 2 new DLC characters, collectively annoying the entire player base who enjoyed all the existing characters. Very ironic. Secondly, the proposition of buffing offense to the degree of bypassing and working around the absurdly strong parrying mechanic seemed to stem from the idea that if defense is BS, then offense should be BS, and it will cancel each other out, instead of actually just making the game twice as BS. Somehow. Because mashing buttons to throw out fast, unreactable attacks wasn't fun to play against either, nor was being stuck in a cutscene where you had to watch a beefy Roman beat you to death fun either. So clearly, neither of these were the solution. So the designers went back to the drawing board. Instead of bypassing the defense, They needed to open the defense. The next solution was bashing, dubbed openers by the community. Bashes are a form of attack that cannot be blocked or parried, and generally started combos and allowed guaranteed follow-up damage. This wasn't all bad. Effectively, it's the counter to parrying. The orbital laser to the nuclear bomb in the Rock Scissors nuclear bomb game. But implicitly, they had now essentially committed themselves to reworking every single hero in the game to work around bashes, creating an immense burden on themselves and relegating every hero into uselessness if they didn't already have a bash in their toolkit. And not to mention, the game essentially now became about just doing bashes all the time. Because in the game of Rock, Orbital Laser, Nuclear Bomb, the best move is just to use Orbital Laser all the time. Bash, bash, bash. That wasn't pretty fun either. This sort of stumbling with For Honor's design has gone on for years. Now I recently checked in on For Honor and lo and behold, parrying has finally seen some nerfs. But in principle, it remains a counter to anything in the game that you can react to, invalidating all those moves. The game, as far as I can tell, is still stuck trying to figure out a design in which a BS offense can work with BS defense, and the new Aztec hero seems to embody this design. Attacks are fast, they chain into a bash, which now cuts the middleman of guaranteeing follow-up damage, and the bash itself just deals the damage. And the characters seem to constantly be reworked to get mix-ups, where you have to rock, paper, scissors style guess which move the opponent will use. I think the biggest sin with For Honor's design is not learning the lessons that other fighting games have had to learn, and not understanding why many modern fighting games today all seem to incorporate many of the same mechanics. If you look at any modern fighting game, like Guilty Gear or Street Fighter, you'd be very hard pressed to find one which doesn't incorporate some form of super meter. Because being able to react to things is part of fighting games, the player committing to offense is usually the one who is taking all the risk. Such risk-taking and aggression is generally what fills the super meter, which yes, in some games can be used to unleash a single powerful move or combo, but can also be expended little by little, like a resource, to gain invincibility frames on an attack, or to speed up an attack to augment your offense. Adding this resource management element adds strategy and depth to fighting games, and can be used to reward risks and offense, which is why almost every modern fighting game incorporates such a system. While defensive parrying mechanics, if at all present, at best do things like minimize the damage you take, while giving frame advantage for beginning an offense, not guaranteeing any damage. A balance between risk and reward is what this game needs. I think the solution to For Honor's design issues inevitably will come from taking similar steps that other fighting games have taken. If I were to outline what I think would probably improve the gameplay a lot, it will look like something like this. Introduce an honor meter. Attacking builds honor. If the opponent blocks your attack, you gain honor. If the opponent parries, you gain less honor. If you let the heavy attack fly and the opponent blocks it, that's a lot of honor gained. If you throw a safer light attack and he blocks it, that's very little honor gained. The more risky attack, the more honor you're rewarded, unless parried, of course, which then feeds into the mind game of feinting. If the attack lands, as opposed to being blocked, then the one who took the blow could receive the honor instead, and the system can then also work as a comeback mechanic. A parry does not guarantee anything except frame advantage to start attacking. To use powerful moves like bashes or mix-ups, you must spend part of the honor meter. Spending honor meter on different moves can change their properties, like making them faster, undodgeable, unblockable, or feintable. The honor cost of each of these moves could be balanced around their power. This would incorporate a layer of strategy and depth, while appropriately being able to reward risky moves and working the basic moveset of every hero back into relevance, instead of just being the same spamming of low-risk move over and over. Will this ever happen? I think not. Why did I make this video? I guess you could say it's a mental exercise. I just wanted to get my thoughts out of my head. And I hope you found it interesting. Have a good one.